Good morning and welcome to Channel 44. It's a beautiful morning. I am Mercy Gashegu Sembatia to bring you this morning's news update live here on Channel 44. We'll start with our local news update in the papers today. In the Daily Monitor, digital car number plates to start in March. The government has tapped a Russian company to roll out the controversial digital surveillance car number plates. Details of this story are on page 4 of today's New Vision, today's Daily Monitor. And also, Freedom City investigations sacks in 3 police officers. That's in the New Year stampede that happened at the Freedom City in Kampala along Entebbe Road. KCCA starts fixing potholes in all divisions. They bring you roadworks. The Kampala Capital City Authority, ED Dorothy Kisaka, with the KCCA Manager for Roads, Bridges and Drainage Development, Ms. Nasuna Mirembe, and other officials during the inspection of Salama Road in Machinde Division, where they were yesterday. The road and others across 5 divisions in Kampala City are said to be maintained following a public outcry of their sorry state since last year in today's Daily Monitor. And also, government delivers bridge 20 years after making pledge. The government has finally completed the construction of Ajeleik Bridge, which connects Kapelebyong and Katakwi districts, respectively. And also, they bring you how Mbarara youth are thriving brick by brick. The emerging real estate sector has enabled a group of youth in Mbarara City to embrace bricklaying as a source of livelihood. It's in today's Daily Monitor. The Daily Monitor also brings you how new O-level curriculum will affect learners, and farmers given heads up ahead of dry spell. It is also the Meteorological Center has noted that there is going to be a dry spell, a long dry spell, and the Daily Monitor brings you how farmers are given a heads up. In today's DM relationships, they bring you who proposed in a cinema packed with people. It's in today's Daily Monitor. And in the New Vision, government stops schools development fees. Draft instrument lists items parents will not have to pay for. Check today's New Vision and see which items a parent will not have to pay for according to government. There are job offers in today's New Vision in Best Group Uganda Limited, UNBS, Uganda Law Reform Commission, Ministry of Agriculture, Uganda Police Force, and many others. Get yourself a copy of today's New Vision and see where you can get yourself a job opportunity. They also bring you further Brother Anatoly, the priest who fought witchcraft. He passed on yesterday, but one, at the age of 90-something, and he will be remembered for treating people that were suffering from attacks, demonic attacks, and very many other diseases using natural herbs. May his soul rest in peace. In today's New Vision, also, President Museveni commended for skilling youth. The State House Comptroller Jen Bereche is seen cutting cake with graduates, local leaders and tutors during the first graduation ceremony of the President Initiative for Zonal Industrial Parks for Skills Development, Value Addition and Wealth Creation at Lango Zonal Industrial Hub in Lira District. On Tuesday, they commended the President of Uganda for skilling youth in northern Uganda. The New Vision also brings you holiday works, which includes Senior 2 Physics, Senior 6 Entrepreneurship, and many others. They also bring you how Pope Benedict got caught up in Uganda's politics, and Freedom City owners summoned over New Year deaths. And in Toroko, UPDF captures key ADF commander, and very many stories in today's New Vision. Right now, allow me to take you into today's international news update. I'll now be joined by Livingstone Kawesi for sign language interpretation and translation. In today's international news update, we'll start with what's happening in neighboring Kenya. The Kenyan president says the country will not default on its debt in the face of severe economic challenge. Had applied the brakes on any more borrowing. When it took over in September last year, his government said it would cut expensive commercial borrowing in favor of cheaper sources such as the World Bank. Like several other African countries, Kenya's credit rating has been at risk of being downgraded because of rising debt and surging global interests. In Somalia, a family of 9 have died in a double car bombing in central Hiran province, according to eyewitnesses. A further 26 people were also killed, the local deputy police commissioner told the press. The Al-Qaeda-linked group Al-Shabaab has said it was behind the attack. The district commissioner of Mahas town said his home and that of a local member of parliament were the targets. Meanwhile, the second explosion targeted the market, according to the mayor of Mahas, Mumin Muhammad Halane. In Asia, there are calls for greater safeguards in Taiwan after at least one device used by the military for its missiles was sent for repair in China. An optical instrument used for launch measurements for Taiwan, Xiong Fei 3 anti-ship missiles, was shipped to its manufacturer in Europe. It was then sent back to Taiwan from Shandong province in eastern China, according to Taiwanese media. Last year, Beijing intensified military activity around the island. China sees Taiwan as part of its territory and has vowed to unify to it by force if necessary. The self-ruled Taiwan sees itself as distinct from the mainland. The World Health Organization has warned that China is underrepresenting the true impact of COVID in the country, in particular deaths. The removal of the restrictions last month has led to a surge in cases. China has stopped publishing daily cases data and has announced only 22 COVID deaths since December, using its own strict criteria. Dr. Ryan said figures underrepresent the true impact of the disease in terms of hospital admissions, in terms of ICU admissions, and particularly in terms of death. In the United States, evacuation orders and advisories are in place in parts of Northern California as major storms slam into the coast. Regions that have been hit by wildfires in the past were among the first places to be told to evacuate due to concerns about flooding and landslides. California's governor has declared a state of emergency for the storm, the second to drench the state in a week. Forecasters say it will form into a bomb cyclone type of explosive storm and will probably kill people. Northern California, which saw a deadly levee breach over the weekend, is expected to be the hardest hit. The U.S. Embassy in Cuba has resumed visa services 5 years after they were paused due to a spate of mysterious health incidents among its staff. At least 20,000 visas a year will likely be issued primarily to Cubans trying to reach family members in the United States. The reopening comes amid record exodus from the island as Cuba suffers one of its worst economic crises. Consular services were reduced to a minimum under the Trump administration. The services were closed in 2017 following reports of unexplained health incidents among embassy employees, which eventually became known as the Havana Syndrome. And in Germany, a night of New Year rioting and attacks on emergency services in Berlin and other cities has shocked Germans and prompted calls for a ban on fireworks and firecrackers. 41 police officers were hurt in the capital alone, and there were dozens of attacks on firefighters. Mayor Franziska Giffey has told a youth summit condemning the violence as absolutely unacceptable. Several figures highlighted the migrant background of many of the youth. Berlin mayor insisted the issue was more to do with the social environment in which young Berliners had grown up. And in the religious world, almost 200,000 people paid homage to former Pope Benedict during his lying in state over the last 3 days, according to Vatican. His body has been sealed in a coffin ahead of his funeral today. Pope Francis will preside over the funeral, the first time a sitting pope has led his predecessor's funeral in over 220 years, according to the Vatican. The former pope died on New Year's Eve at the age of 95, almost a decade after standing down because of ill health. Tens of thousands of people are expected to attend the funeral in St. Peter's Square in front of St. Peter's Basilica at 9:30 local time. The event will be marked by simplicity, in line with what Benedict had asked for, according to the Vatican. And finally, in the world of business, Amazon aims to shed more than 18,000 roles as it cuts costs, according to the technology giant's boss. He added the announcement was brought forward because of their teammates leaked the information externally. The job cuts amount to around 6% of the company's roughly 300,000 strong corporate workforce. Amazon is the latest big technology firm to unveil major layoffs as the cost of living crisis sees customers cut back on spending. Well, that brings us to the end of this morning's news update. Thank you for watching Channel 44. I remind you that we are still helping the people of Karamoja. Please remember to send your seed to the numbers that will be availed on your screens during the services. Alternatively, you can bring your seed to the Miracle Center Cathedral. We are having revival services every evening. We've never seen something like this that is happening in our midst as we start on our year in Psalm 23 in the year 2023. The Pastors Now program is up next. Stay tuned to Channel 44. You will be blessed. Good morning.